Hey everyone, and welcome straight into the explainer. Today, we're absolutely demystifying the examiner's mind. We're going to crack open a high-stakes math paper and look at exactly how those marks are awarded, literally point by point.
Okay, let's dive into this. Because, the grading system really isn't some big, scary mystery. It's actually a highly structured machine. Let's lift the hood and look at how the gears turn so you know exactly how to play the game.
So, our specific challenge today is the Edexcel GCSE Mathematics Higher Tier Paper 1 from May 2023. Now, this is a non-calculator paper, and what that means is your mathematical logic, your step-by-step methods, and your written processes, they are the absolute star of the show here. There are 80 marks on the line, and every single step counts.
But before we even look at a single equation, I want you to hear this exact quote straight from the Edexcel marking guidance. It says, "All the marks on the mark scheme are designed to be awarded. Mark schemes should be applied positively." Honestly, this is so reassuring. Examiners are actually hunting through your ink, actively looking for reasons to give you credit, not take it away.
Okay, paper 1, the basics. Let's crack these examiner codes. Think of these codes right here as the ultimate cheat codes for your exam. M stands for method. P stands for process, which they usually use in those multi-step problem-solving questions. And A stands for accuracy, which is just your final correct answer. Now, here's the secret. M and P marks are your absolute best friends. Earning these means you can scoop up the vast majority of points for a question just by showing a correct method or process, even if your final arithmetic at the very end goes completely off the rails.
All right, let's see this in action. Solving question 10, geometry, turning shapes into points.
Here's the mathematical prompt, just broken down into nice, manageable facts. We've got a pentagon. We're given 3 known interior angles, 120 degrees, 135 degrees, and 110 degrees. We're also given a ratio detail for the remaining 2 angles, specifically that angle AED is exactly 4 times the size of angle ABC. And our ultimate goal, work out the exact size of angle AED. So logically, here is the chronological sequence a successful student would take to solve this. Step 1. Calculate the total sum of the interior angles of a pentagon, which comes out to 540 degrees. Step 2. Subtract those 3 known angles from 540, which leaves you with 175 degrees left over the split. Step 3. Apply that 4-to-1 ratio to the remaining 175. And finally, Step 4. Calculate the larger angle, landing you at 140 degrees.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the direct mapping between your brain's logic and the examiner's red pen. Just writing down the sum of 540? Boom! That earns your first P1 process mark. Subtracting the known angles? That's another P1 mark right there. Showing you're using that 4-to-1 ratio? A third P1 mark. It's only at the very end that you get the A1 accuracy mark for the 140. 4 steps, 4 marks. If you just did the first 2 steps and completely blanked, you'd still walk away with half the points.
Moving right along, solving question 15, lines, coordinate geometry and perpendiculars.
Take a look at the exact wording from the exam. We've got line L1 with the equation y equals 2x minus 5, and we have line L2 with the equation 6y plus kx minus 12 equals 0. The absolutely crucial piece of information that unlocks this whole puzzle is that L1 is perpendicular to L2, and your job is to find the value of k.
Without getting totally bogged down in doing the actual math on a scratch pad, let's just trace the flow of the logic here. First, you've got to rearrange line L2 to make y the subject. That way you can actually see its gradient. Second, you look at line L1, realize its gradient is 2, and determine that the perpendicular gradient has to be -1/2. Finally, you set the gradient of L2 equal to -1/2, and you solve for k.
So, the crucial point I want to make here is that bolded rule in the 3rd column. In the official mark scheme for this specific question, it explicitly states a correct answer with no supportive working gets 0 marks. Seriously, even if you magically guess that k equals 3, you get absolutely nothing. The examiner is rewarding the journey, those p steps of isolating y and finding the gradient, not just the final destination.
All right, last big challenge, solving question 17, algebra, conquering algebraic fractions.
The task here involves a pretty intimidating equation, where x and y are all tangled up inside fractions on both sides of the equal sign. Your ultimate objective is to manipulate this mess, isolate all the x terms, and make x the subject. It honestly looks like a mountain to climb.
But watch how a scary equation becomes super simple just piece by piece. Step 1, you clear the fractions by multiplying the denominators across. Step 2, you expand the brackets and physically move all the terms with an x to one side of the equation, pushing everything else to the other. Step 3, you factorize the x out, trapping it outside a bracket. From there, it's literally just one simple division to get x totally alone.
And this brilliantly illustrates the real power of understanding the mark scheme. Imagine you do all that beautiful algebraic heavy lifting, but on the very last step you make a totally silly arithmetic error while dividing. Well, guess what? You still earn an M1 for clearing the fraction, an M1 for isolating the x terms, and an M1 for factorizing. You've secured the vast majority of the points for this question, losing only that final single A1 accuracy mark. Your method is literally your safety net.
Okay, let's wrap all this up. Maximizing your marks, the explainer's cheat sheet.
Here are your golden rules, straight from the source. First, and I can't say this enough, always show you're working. Those M and P marks are exactly where you bank your points. Second, remember that a correct answer without working can sometimes score an absolute 0. Don't be a hero, just write it down. Third, and this is a really surprising one, crossed out work is actually marked by the examiner unless you've explicitly replaced it with an alternative response. Crazy, right? And finally, attempt every single step. Remember, the mark scheme is applied positively.
So, you're no longer in the dark. You know that every logical step you write down is a bright, flashing signal to an examiner who actively wants to give you marks. So I'll leave you with this thought. The next time you sit down, take a deep breath and turn over that paper. How are you going to change your strategy? Start viewing that page not as a test designed for you to fail, but as a blank canvas to prove your process. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you all next time.